I know I probably sound like a brat, so I'll try to keep it short. My older sister passed away recently. She was heading to her dream university in the fall. She was very sweet and hard-working. She's worked fast food for years and barely spent her money on anything besides gas and insurance. She was part of our state's Future Educators Club with dreams of being a teacher since she was little. I'm 15 and I like writing, but I don't know what my backup plan is. I do want to go to college. In the past, my parents have made me feel like a disappointment for not having things figured out like my sister did. When they announced that they were going to use her savings as a one-time scholarship for a person in our area who wants to be teacher, I thought it was a sweet idea, but I asked my parents if they wouldn't mind setting it aside for my future. My mother said that they felt that helping someone like my sister was the best way to honor her, since I'm not even sure you could get into a college that would need that much money. This felt like a slap in the face and I told her so. She said that she was just being realistic. Not the idiot, your parents are the idiots. You are 15 and don't need to know specifically what your future plans are right now. Their lack of confidence in you and your future is pathetic and has nothing to do with your sister passing away. You need to explain that. You are not your sisters and never will be. That you are 15 and it is not expected to have all formal college plans set in stone. Their lack of confidence in you does nothing for your self-confidence and maybe they shouldn't be writing you off so soon. Stay strong. I was gonna vote you are the idiot, thinking you were being kinda selfish, and then I read your mother's response. Yeah, not the idiot. I get that your parents are grieving, but that was an incredibly insensitive and mean thing for your mom to say. This isn't about you wanting the money, it's about not wanting to be in your sister's shadow. So you don't have it all worked out. You've only been on this planet for 15 years. That's not a long time. And shame on your folks for wanting you to be a copy of your sister. You're your own person and you deserve recognition of that. On one hand, I think the idea to give the money in a scholarship is amazing and maybe the right and best thing to do. It was her money and it sounds like something she would have really appreciated, and it could be her way of making a difference in education, considering she'll never get the chance to. But on the other hand, your parents are being rude and unfair in their treatment of you. Honestly, I probably wouldn't want the money because it's going to come with a lot of strings. 9 years ago, we found out that my 28 mother had a 5-year affair with someone she met from work. My parents divorced and she went on to get remarried to the man, Greg. My mother moved her husband and his daughter, Killy, 26, from his previous marriage into our house, and I lived with them before I left for college. I remained in minimal contact with them until Killy joined my company and started working in my department. Nobody was aware of our relation since we had different last names, and I had told Killy not to disclose anything about this. Last Friday, while clocking into work with a few of my coworkers, Killy came up to me and asked if I could come home for a family dinner. By lunch, our entire department was gossiping about it and Killy would confirm their suspicions. Fed up, I told the department that I do not have a sister. Things died down at work and I agreed to make it to dinner considering it was my mother's birthday. At dinner, I was bombarded with questions about why I refused to acknowledge my sister at work and refused to even call her my sister. Greg told me I was a petty bully for embarrassing Killy at work and that he has had enough of me mistreating his daughter. He told my mother that my misbehavior was a result of my parents' coddling. He demanded that I address him as my father and Killy as my sister and to tell everyone at work that too. At that point, I had enough of his relentless chastising, so I told him that all he signed was a marriage certificate and not adoption papers, so I am not his daughter, therefore, will not be addressing him as my father. I brought up the fact that I know my dad had created an account for my college fund and paid child support each month, but they used the funds to purchase a new car and to pay off credit card debt. Back then, they told me that I would have to get a part-time job to help with paying off college because money was tight since they just got a new car. I always found it weird that Killy never had to get a job to go to college and could afford to stay in a nice apartment during. Killy was crying by the end of the argument. My mother broke down and yelled at me to stop, while Greg called me an ungrateful idiot. I told them that, if they only have the capacity to acknowledge and care for one daughter, then do not expect me to be in Killy's life as her big sister, and left the house. I guess Killy posted about it on social media because friends and family called me up. Some told me I was being harsh and unfair to Greg and my mother, who took care of me, as well as Killy, who had nothing to do with this, while some understood where I was coming from. So, am I the idiot for doing this? I guess Killy posted about it on social media. This is where I have a problem with Killy. I was a bit miffed that she alluded towards a relationship at work when you had previously told her not to, and now she has turned a private argument into a sympathy farming session. I don't like how she is playing this. Not the idiot. You seem to have handled yourself really well with Greg. Blended families are complicated, it doesn't help that step-parents sometimes want to overstep. Not only do you not have a sister, you only barely have a mom. She clearly transferred her familial bond to the daughter of her new husband. You, on the other hand, are a constant reminder of her choice to betray you. They made sure the daughter of the newly minted family unit wanted for nothing, while misappropriating funds that came from your father for you and used them on themselves, screwing over both your dad and you, yet again. I'd say it's high time to take to social media yourself and air all the family dirty laundry. They see fit to tell the story in a way that has people siding against you. It's only fair that you correct a public record. Well, I do feel for Killy a bit, as none of this is her fault. You are not required to just forgive and forget the fact that your mom and Greg broke up your parents' marriage, as well as completely disregarded you and your future by spending money that was meant for you. I think it would be better to have a one-on-one conversation with Killy and explain your feelings in a civilized way, being as it's not her fault for all the mess, and because you'll be seeing her at work. But you can for sure tell Greg to shove it where the sun don't shine. Just because he married your mother 100% does not make him your father or give him the right to tell a grown woman how to live her life. So, I've, 29, lived in this apartment for the best part of a decade now. I don't own it, but I've been saving up because I'm on good terms with my landlord, who has agreed to sell it to me for a good price in the next few years, since he's starting to get a little bit too old to deal with upkeep. During this time I've had roommates rotating in and out to help afford rent. The latest roommates are a couple, Dan, 24, and Jess, 25. A few months ago they announced that Jess was pregnant and due in a couple of months. I was really surprised because, I feel mean saying this, she wasn't showing very visibly through her body shape. I congratulated them, but when I asked what their plans were for their future family home, they said they were hoping that I would move out. I said that goes against my plans that I've had for years and that I was planning on staying here. They insisted that I would have to move out as they're a new family now and need space. I told them that was great and I respect that need, but if they wanted space they would need to find a new place, as I was here first. Crap got pretty cold from there. We haven't really talked much, until now. They had the baby, and it's now about a month old. I knew I'd have to bunker down a bit, so I took all of my things from the common area, TV, consoles, kitchenware, etc., and with some work I got a pretty nice compact setup in my room with some DIY soundproofing and a makeshift kitchenette so I can ignore the babies crying. They used my stuff previously and were not happy at all and had to beg on Facebook until someone got them new dishes, making sure to crap talk me in all the posts, which I thought was pretty rude, but whatever. Because I found out so late about the pregnancy, we're still on the lease for a good 6 months. They want me to break the lease so they can focus on their family. I told them that, as I said before, this wasn't going to happen. Either they break the lease or they put up with me living my life the way I want to, which includes having people over, listening to music, smoking weed, legal state, drinking, etc. They said they can't afford to break the lease. I said that's unfortunate, but neither can I. They said it would be easier for me because I'm not a parent and that I would just need to scrimp a little bit so I can afford to pay 2 rents. I said maybe, but I'm not going to hamstring my lifestyle because they chose to inconvenience everyone around them with their kid. I was admittedly kind of the idiot for saying this, but I was being harassed. So, my living situation has been kind of a cold war ever since. It's really miserable for everyone right now, and while I don't expect them to drop out of the lease, I'm kind of hoping they do because them and their banshee kid are really giving me a headache. But I've invested too much into getting this place to leave, so even if they stick it out, I plan on signing the lease again and maybe seeing if the landlord will be able to not renew them. Not the idiot. The pure audacity of them in this whole situation is blowing me away. It sounds particularly shady, as if they already knew she was pregnant and planned to force the other roommate out regardless, but I don't know the time frame, so I could be wrong. It's unfortunate that they're new parents and want their space, but screw these people. Definitely stick to your guns and eventually buy the apartment. I think talking to your landlord who you're on good terms with would be a very good idea. Reiterate that you're undoubtedly buying the place and maybe share the situation that is currently unfolding. You should talk to your landlord pronto. Be in communication with him about what's going on, explain your point of view, and I'm sure he'll be on board with you since you've been there forever and he's aware you're in it for the long haul. Once that's squared away, keep the peace as best you can and write out the lease. Landlord won't sign with them again, you find new roomies, preferably not a couple, and move on with your life. Not the idiot. It's very entitled of them to assume that you will leave your home of 10 years because they decided to have a kid. Talk to your landlord and make sure that you are going solo on the next lease. Make it clear that your life doesn't change because of their kid, their lives change because of their kid. I had a miscarriage earlier this week and had to have surgery on Tuesday. We are visiting my in-laws this weekend for the holidays. Initially after surgery I said I really didn't want to travel this weekend since it's about a 4-hour drive and I'm not in a good place. But we ended up going anyway because my husband wanted to see his family. I'll admit I am not in the best place right now mentally. I'm obviously upset about the miscarriage and my hormones are all over the place as they readjust. It's horrible. We had told my in-laws about the pregnancy but asked them not to tell anyone. Tonight at the family party I had multiple people come up and tell me they were sorry for our loss, which surprised me because I didn't think people knew I was even pregnant. I pulled my mother-in-law aside and asked how everyone knew. She told me we all need all the prayers we can get right now and that she told everyone so we could all begin to heal. She started to cry and said she's a grandmother in grieving and it's unfair of me to expect her to keep her family in the dark about our situation. We got into a big fight and I decided to leave the party because I could tell I was just getting more and more upset and I didn't want to make a big scene. I am obviously upset. I don't feel like this was her news to share. I feel like this is my own experience and while she can be upset, it's happening to me and my body and I'm the one that lost my pregnancy. I'm annoyed by her prayer comments because she knows I am not super religious. Edit. Just to be clear, I have no problem with someone saying they're praying for me or someone else praying in general. I just felt like in this instance she was using her need for prayers to override what I had asked to keep personal. Did I overreact by leaving the party? Am I wrong to be upset with her for this? I hope your husband is appropriately pissed off on your behalf. You traveled to see his family less than a week after a miscarriage and surgery, and the only thing you asked for was privacy. Your mother-in-law decided you don't get that because she's a grandmother in grieving and it's unfair of me to expect her to keep her family in the dark about our situation. She's effectively putting her grief above yours in some sort of misery Olympics in which the number of people who feel sorry for you, we all need all the prayers we can get, is the prize. She is entitled to her grief, but her actions are way out of line. My mom is the same way. When I found out I was pregnant she told everyone, even though I didn't want her to. I wanted to wait until the second trimester, but she told everyone so it was out of my hands. I ended having a miscarriage unfortunately, and so that means that everyone who was told that I was pregnant also had to be told about my miscarriage. I'm a private person and I am also very sensitive, so I didn't want to break down every time a person would bring up my baby. Next time I'm not telling my mom until I'm ready to tell everyone because some people just can't keep a secret. This was your baby, not hers. Your pregnancy and miscarriage is not her business to tell. Not the idiot. I'm sorry your husband didn't have your back, dragging you to a party you obviously weren't ready for. And I'm sorry your mother-in-law didn't have your back, making your loss all about her. It was perfectly appropriate for you to leave the party and to expect an apology from mother-in-law, and I would argue, your husband, if he has yet to intervene in something, he should be taking the lead in. My girlfriend is a talented musician. She plays multiple instruments and has an angelic voice. She's dedicated her life to this excruciating task, and it's truly paid off. My sister has 2 boys, a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. They are extremely active and love running around, which usually ends in a mess being created. The boys adore my girlfriend, they love everything about her, which I find very cute. The boys came to stay with me for a day when my sister and my girlfriend were out of town, separately. The 10-year-old is learning the violin and he insists on playing like my girlfriend. I thought it would be harmless to bring out my girlfriend's violin for him to play something and to calm his hyperactive self down. Granted, it was slightly too big for him, but he was plucking the strings and seemed to know how to use it. I had to dash out for emergency. I was just next door, and when I returned after an hour, her bow was almost completely frayed. I took the violin away and scolded both of them. My girlfriend came back home to a frayed bow. She was understandably upset and, to my surprise, even more upset when I told her the entire story. She asked me if I would like to pay for the repair or replacement of the violin bow. I thought that my sister would have to chalk up the fees because it was her kids, my nephews, who caused the damage in the first place. My girlfriend disagreed and defended my sister not paying the fees when I prompted her to. I keep refusing every time she asks. I'm not stopping from practicing either. She has a spare bow. Am I really the idiot? I shouldn't be faulted for someone else's kid's problems. You're the idiot. You handed your girlfriend's incredibly expensive instrument to a child without her permission and then left him unattended. Literally, anyone with half a brain could see this disaster coming. You're absolutely responsible for the costs incurred. The sister didn't make this screw up, you did, so you need to pay for it. Go to your girlfriend, apologize, peel open your wallet and pray to God it wasn't a 1K plus bow you destroyed. Classical violinist here. Instruments are sacred to their players. It is their most prized possession. You never under any circumstance let someone else touch it without their permission, let alone a hyperactive child who can barely play. You said a frayed bow. Did all the hair break or did the bow itself break? Either way, shame on you. You screwed up. You pay. You handed an expensive piece of equipment that was not yours to a child who you then left unsupervised, resulting in the ruin of that expensive thing that doesn't belong to you. You're damn right you're on the hook for this because it was your choice to tamper with someone else's stuff and your negligence that led to its ruin. If your sister wants to kick in because it's her kid, well, that's fair too, but your sister wasn't the one who created this whole avoidable mess.